Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather, and I've got something extremely exciting to show you today. We have some inverted shell Cordovan. We're going to start off first and show you 4 of the different colors of inverted shell Cordovan. I also would like to show you what the hell is inverted shell Cordovan. And then tomorrow, we've got a private stock event with these inverted shell Cordovan pieces. This is a preview video for everything that will be going live tomorrow, and we're going to launch this at 3 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. It's a little bit different time than we normally do. So 3 p.m. Central Time on Friday, March 24th. Let's start off first here with inverted blue shell Cordovan here. This is a Johnny the Fox in that really cool inverted blue color. You can see all this random dye splatter that ranges from a little bit more of this like darker blue in the corner here to some aqua blue shades, a little bit of orangey tan. This one has some yellow contrasting stitching on the outside, which is really nice, and it sort of hints at the gold foil stamp on the interior. You can see the inverted shell here on the reverse side of this Cordovan. This is blue coloring, and that's why we call it inverted. But we'll get to this in a little bit more detail in just a moment. Up next, we have inverted violet shell Cordovan. Check this out. Really cool splattered effect on the inverted shells. And on the inverted violet, it's a little bit more of this straight up purple color. Very much a straightforward purple. You got these like violet stained edges as well. And then you can see the lighter color on the exterior here. It's a little bit more like natural shell Cordovan, but we do see some of the splatter of that violet color. Up next is inverted black shell Cordovan, a little bit darker here, and it kind of reminds me of like harvest or something. Got these sort of, I don't know, it reminds me of October. For some reason here, this like pumpkin-y orange sort of color for the undertones and some of that darker greenish black over the top. Check out that angle here. Really cool color on the inverted black. This one has a black hand stained edge, and on the interior we've got more of this inverted black shell Cordovan and a gold foil stamp. Let me give you a look at the reverse side of the inverted black. It's that black color right here. And the next color we're going to look at is something that I haven't seen very much. This is inverted green shell Cordovan. You can see a little bit more of those green dye splatter in the inverted green, of course. Let's look at the outside here in more inverted green. This one's a little bit more subtle on the exterior here, just like the last one we looked at. It's a little bit more of like a natural color with those green splatters. On the edges of this wallet, we have green hand-stained edges. And of course, we've got the gold foil stamp on the interior. And let's look at the reverse side here. It's a little bit more of that darker forest green shade. All right, we're gonna lay out some pieces of Cordovan here. Let's take a look at this first piece of shell here. And I wanna try to explain to you what inverted shell is. So this is a normal piece of shell Cordovan here. We have the bright, shiny, smooth piece of shell. And that's what this dense fiber layer is called inside the hindquarters of every equine animal. It's what we've become very well known for. We make a lot of shell Cordovan wallets here. But sometimes we flip it backwards to show off the reverse side of the shell. So on this particular piece, this is what we call epic splatter on the reverse side of color 8 shell Cordovan. And a couple years ago, we went to the tannery, explained to them how much we liked this random sort of drip and like splattered effect on the reverse side of the shells. So we asked them to make it on the shell side. Let me show you another example here. This is black shell Cordovan this time. So we have the black stain applied to that dense membrane of the shell on this side, leaving the reverse side with some of those more green splattered looks. So if you take this black and make it upside down, this is what you get here. And it doesn't really translate directly, but this is inverted black shell Cordovan. So instead of finishing it on the shell side here, that dense fiber layer, they actually ran it through the machine upside down this direction. So they put the black stain on the reverse side of the shell, leaving the shell side with all that epic splatter. All right, so now we know what the inverted shell is. Let's continue on looking at some more pieces that will be available on the website tomorrow. You can find all these in the private stock page. Let's look at the inverted green shell Cordovan. This is a Frank the Enforcer. Also in that inverted green, we've got some of that yellow stitching along the edge. And I'll spin this around so you can get a good sense of the color range here in the inverted green. It sort of has like an aqua blue sort of light greenish vibe. We've got a gold foil stamp on this one. And we do have 2 vertical card slot Bugs Moran also in the inverted green. So everything that we're going to look at will have its own unique product page because no 2 pieces of inverted shell Cordovan are just alike. This inverted green piece here, really nice sort of light pale green, little bits of aqua blue on top of that golden tan color. Here's a look at the inside. Speaking of golden, we've got the gold foil stamps here. And the last inverted green piece is also a vertical card slot Bugs Moran, pretty similar to the last one, but let's compare these side by side. You can see just how unique each piece of the inverted green shells are in this example. A little bit more splatter on the one on the right. On the interior, this one is made to look pretty similar to the first one, but most of these are completely different. So speaking of completely different, let's pull out some inverted black shell Cordovan pieces. We have 4 Capone money clips, and each of these are a little bit different in different ways. Inverted black, really cool color here. I mentioned it sort of has that like harvesty orange tan undertones with the darker black, sort of blackish green color on top. This one has a black spring bar money clip and more of a brown stitching along the edge. Here's another Capone money clip in inverted black shell Cordovan. This time we've got some red stitching along the outside with a silver clip and then a gold foil stamp. Another one here in a nice sort of teal blue, baby blue stitching, which actually pairs very well with this, surprisingly so. This one has a gold spring bar money clip and a gold foil stamp. And the last Capone, also in inverted black, a little bit more contrast on this top piece here. We've got a brown stitch on this one. I can see a brass sort of gold color money clip and then no foil stamp on the interior of this one. And we have a few Herbies, which are great to see in a pattern like the inverted shells, because this large piece of leather that is the bill slot on the exterior of the Fat Herbie gives us a chance to showcase that big context of patterning in this inverted shell. So you can see much darker on the bottom here with a little bit of a lighter tone on the top. On the interior, more of that inverted black. We've got some brown stitching on this one. And the other Fat Herbie in inverted black, check this out. Really cool splattered look on the exterior of this. And it's almost all dripping to the left, which is very cool. I love this look on the inverted shells. And for me, I like it when it looks like this, where it's almost more of like a pooled effect. And speaking of large pattern pieces, we have 2 of our passport holders also in the inverted black. All these, I should have mentioned, have hand-stained edges. Here's that huge pattern piece we're talking about. Inverted shell here. You can see some of the lighter colors of the undertones and some of those drip marks in the darker black color. Here's a look at the interior. Really special piece on this passport holder. And the last passport holder in the inverted black, we'll look at this one too. Really great texture of the drip marks on this, and much darker on the exterior. We don't see much of that light color on this specific passport holder. And we have 3 different vault key holders also in the inverted black, a little bit more of a subtle texture on, because they're a smaller piece. We don't have that large context to be able to show off all the random color, but you can see some of it here. Let's keep it going. I think this might be my favorite inverted color. This is the inverted violet shell Cordovan. And I was looking at this Capone money clip in a live stream earlier this morning. There's something magical about this specific piece with those darker violet drip marks, just randomized all over the place on top of that lighter orangey tan color, more of like a natural shell Cordovan for the lighter sections. That is really, really striking. And then we have the violet hand-stained edges and then more inverted violet on the interior with a black spring bar money clip. Here's a look at the other one, which is also really, really special. Really cool piece of inverted violet here. And of course, on the inverted violet, you get more of those straight up purple colors as opposed to the inverted blue and the inverted green, which obviously are more blue and green. Check out this Tone of the Ant here. Really cool dye splatter on this guy. And I'll spin it around because there is a really dramatic color shift that happens in every piece of Cordovan, including on the inverted shell Cordovan here. I really like the look at the interior of this one. And I should stop saying I like them because I think I like them all. All of these are very, very striking. And on this particular Herbie, I actually notice I like it, the look of it more as it's closed, which is probably good because I don't think you'll have it sitting there open like this very much. But as it's closed here, the symmetry of color on the outside right of this and on the outside left actually look really great. Here's a look at the inside too. We have really, really cool looking inverted violet shell Cordovan. I should also mention I have one irregular in the batch here today. This one has some really crazy stitching on the inside left. You can see it on the top and on the bottom, but this is going to be discounted in the inverted violet shell Cordovan. And we have a Bugs Moran here also in the inverted violet. This one's got a really great bit of splatter on the exterior as well as on the interior. And you can see in the center here, that's actually the reverse side of the shell where we can see more of that straight up purple shade. And there are 2 vertical cardstock Bugs Moran. Let's hold these side by side because you might be able to see the difference. On the bottom one, we've got more of this sort of magenta stitching color that pairs very nicely with the inverted violet. And on the top here is more of like a cream color stitching, also with the inverted violet, a little bit more subtle on the exterior of this one. Let's take a look at the other one. We have also a subtle look, but it's more spread out across the outside. The interiors, I think, are where these 2 shine. Really great looks. And of course, the one on the left with the cream color stitching, this has a gold foil stamp. And what do you say we finish it off with some inverted ultraviolet shell Cordovan? It's a little less purple and a little bit more magenta in color for the inverted ultraviolet. You can see that ultraviolet color on the reverse side here of this Vic snap wallet. And let's look at the outside because we have the staining and that epic sort of splattered effect. So this first one here has an antique brass button snap. This other one has a silver button snap. And I noticed the splatter on this one was very different as well. Really cool splattered look on this. Now, as I look at the video here, it's not translating as well as it was in the photos, but you can see here, it's almost like that tropical sunset. We've got like this burnt sort of cherry, little bits of magenta color that fade very evenly into that lighter orangey tan. And we're bringing back some of our special wallets that we don't normally stock. This is our machine gun jack. And on this one too, I was noticing the drip pattern was really, really special. If you're not familiar with the machine gun jack, this is a symmetrical piece of leather that is folded in half. We stitch it down and then snap it closed. This is designed to fit credit cards. And if you want to fit bills in here, you'll have to fold them into thirds. I have one more machine gun jack. You can see the hand stain edges here. I should have mentioned, we try to hand stain all the edges for these inverted pieces. Here's a look at the splattered effect on this guy. A couple more small pieces in the inverted ultraviolet. This is a one-shot card case, got a nice gold foil stamp on this guy, and I'll try to spin this around because it seems like the directionality of color is very, very different depending on what angle the light hits it. Check out this one. Get a little bit more of orange and tan on the left side here and a little bit more magenta on the right. And we have a couple lighter sheaths also in the ultraviolet. This one has a gold foil hot stamp as well as some silver stitching. The other one here also gold foil stamp, but you'll see the stitching color is a little bit different on this guy. And we've got some Bugs Moran and vertical Bugs Moran. Check out this one, a little bit darker on this inverted ultraviolet here. This one doesn't have much of that light sort of tan, sort of, I don't know, natural color that can be contrasted with most of these inverted pieces. Usually you see a little bit more of that orangey tan color coming through. This next one here is also Bugs Moran. We've got a silver stitching, still a subtle contrast on this inverted ultraviolet. And here we go. We've got a combo. Vertical card slots on the left, the traditional card slots on the right. Here's a look at what I was talking about. We've got some more of those lighter sort of natural shell Cordovan colors for the lighter tones of this with a little bit of the darker, more magenta-y ultraviolet color splattered across the top. Here's a look at the interior again with all inverted ultraviolet. Here's another one, inverted ultraviolet again, vertical card slots. Really cool shell on this one. Check out the luster. Super, super bright and shiny. This is what you want your shell Cordovan to look like. Oh, I should show you the interior too. I almost got distracted because I wanted to see if the next one is just as bright and shiny. Here's a look at the other vertical card slot Bugs Moran. You can see it's almost got like a wet look. Very, very glassy, mirror-like. Here's a look at the interior with more inverted ultraviolet. And you can see that ultraviolet color on the backside of the center right here. And we have some Tony the Ants. Here's the Tony the Ant in the ultraviolet inverted shell Cordovan. A little bit more contrast on the outside here with the lighter tan shades and a little bit more of that magenta sort of ultraviolet color splatter across the top. Ooh, this one's got a really great pattern here. Look at this little pooled effect. This is what I've been digging on the inverted shells, is where you get this stark contrast from light to dark sort of immediately. And I do like how they sort of pool sometimes in this way. Here's a look at the interior and some really great patterning on these inverted shells. It looks like we got a couple Capone money clips here. I'll show you the first one here. We've got some magenta stitching all along the outside of this Capone money clip, and I think that carries on to the inside. Yes, it does. So we've got inverted shell Cordovan here too, in the ultraviolet color, a gold foil stamp, and we have the hand stained edges. One last Capone. This one has more of a cream color stitching on it, some drip marks as well that are sort of going from top to bottom. You can especially see that dripping effect on the exterior left here. I'll try to spin this around because I'm noticing, again, the color is not really translating very well at certain angles. Here's a look at the interior. We've got the gold foil stamp and a couple Fat Herbies. And the last one that you can see there, these are true stunners. Check out this piece here, and I'll spin this around. A really good demonstration of the directionality of color on the shell. You can see this one's a little bit orangey tan for the lighter tones, more like a natural shell Cordovan color, with again that magenta sort of ultraviolet color splattered randomly across the top. We have a nice hand stained edge on this one in that ultraviolet color. And here's a look at the interior with no stamping. That's because we hid the stamp in the bill slot here. You can see the Horween shell Cordovan and the Ashland logo, gold foil stamped inside the bill slot. The last one here, I think this is the ultimate stunner, at least for me. When I first saw this, I was just really blown away. There's something magical about the random die marks on this one. And if this is something that I could prescribe from the tannery, That'd be amazing. But unfortunately, it's just not possible. This is not something that they're controlling to be this way. And I think that's part of the beauty of it. Each of these pieces are completely unique. And in fact, I don't think we have much or any of this leather left, especially in the violet. I don't think we have any of the violet inverted available anymore. So again, each of these are really special pieces. I'm very excited to be able to show you each of these today, and maybe you can get your hands on them tomorrow. So again, everything will be available on our website, ashlandleather.com at 3 p.m. Central Time. And you can find it on the private stock page. And if you're not signed up to the newsletter, I highly suggest signing up there because I try to send out a notification 1 hour before the events go live. So you'll be the first to know, you'll be ready to go for it. And you can grab one of these special pieces because sometimes they sell out before you're able to grab them. I want to give a quick tip also if you're interested in private stock. If you add an item to your cart, that does not mean it's reserved for you. You need to proceed through the checkout process. So if you've never ordered something from our website before, just get your details in there. Get your shipping address, your billing address, all put inside of there, maybe even your card information, because then you can check out very quickly. Sometimes people get a little bit frustrated because something will disappear from their cart because somebody else proceeded with the checkout before them. So just a quick heads up there. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Thanks so much for checking out the video today. Until next time, I hope you have a good one.